The ghost arrives, the twin sons of Avessor, burned low across the violet plains, their light catching on the jagged crystal towers that dotted the horizon. Smoke curled lazily from the trade spires of Kareth City, a hub of interstellar commerce, where alien species mingled like colors in a painter's palette. The market thrummed with life-tentacle-twisting merchants shouting prices, glimmering traders haggling over energy cores, and the occasional human wandering curiously, drawing sideways glances. One such human, Kieran Voss, adjusted the strap of his leather satchel as he navigated through the crowd. His clothes were simple: oil-stained trousers, a scratched vest over a tattered shirt. Yet his hand scarred, nimble, steady marked him as more than a simple mechanic. Every alien who looked closely could sense the subtle efficiency in his movements, the quiet confidence of someone who had survived worse than market chaos. Another fuel cell? Really, Voss? A slender, blue-skinned alien with 6 eyes, known to humans as Threll, hovered near him. Do you really think it will make a difference against the Empire? Kieran gave a lopsided grin. It's not the fuel cell. It's how you use it. That's the trick. Threll shook his many-eyed head. Humans and your tricks. Always a gamble. Sometimes I wonder why we keep you around. You keep me around for the same reason you never admit, Kieran replied, his gaze drifting skyward. The violet clouds began to ripple unnaturally, twisting against the evening wind. A low hum resonated across the plains, rising steadily to a frequency that vibrated in bone and metal alike. Do you hear that? Threll's voice faltered. Kieran's stomach clenched. He had heard that hum before, a sound like it came from nowhere and everywhere at once, a warning that something enormous was approaching. Then it appeared. It was impossible at first glance. Ship unlike any Kareth had ever catalogued. No markings, no glimmering metal panels, yet somehow alive. The hull shimmered, catching and bending light in a way that made it appear almost transparent, as if it were drifting on the currents of reality itself. It moved across the skies, with no sound save the low, omnipresent hum. By the ancients. Threll whispered, and even his 6 eyes widened in unison. Kieran swallowed, his mind racing. He had seen rumors of such ships, ghost vessels spoken of in whispers between trade guilds. No one knew where they came from, or why they appeared. Only that they were followed by chaos. Chaos, it seemed, had already arrived. The first warning came as a blip on the Empire's surveillance arrays. Kareth City, normally calm under the shadow of the Empire's protection, erupted in sirens. Over the horizon, fleets of sleek, black warships responded, engines flaring as they surged toward the ghostly intruder. Kieran and Threll found themselves swept into the chaos of citizens fleeing, hovering cars darting madly, and emergency sirens clashing with the alien hum. Kieran's instincts screamed at him. That ship, it's not just wandering. It's hunting, and it knows the Empire is here. Threll grasped his arm. Then we are doomed, human. You don't understand. The Empire doesn't retreat. They never retreat. But retreat they did. One by one, Empire warships faltered, their formations unraveling as if a phantom hand guided the ghost ship. Weapons fired, and beams of plasma met and folded mid-flight, striking nothing, as if reality itself had turned against the Empire's designs. Kieran's heart pounded. He had never seen anything like it. Something's wrong with the physics. He muttered, more to himself than to Threll. It's bending space around it, like it's alive. Alive? Human, you're grasping at fairy tales. Threll hissed, but the color drained from his cheeks. Even his species' legendary composure cracked under the spectacle. From the top of a nearby crystalline spire, Kieran glimpsed a shadow moving across the hull of the ghost ship, something humanoid. For an instant, the figure turned, and Kieran could have sworn it looked directly at him. His chest tightened. Who or what? Thrall began. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the ship vanished, leaving only the quivering air behind. The Empire fleets halted mid-flight, confused, panicked. Orders flew over comms, voices sharp with tension. The retreat became absolute, with no ship daring to chase. Kieran and Thrall stood frozen, staring at the empty sky. Somewhere deep inside, Kieran felt a spark curiosity and a twinge of recognition. This ship. This thing wasn't a weapon. It was a message. And if he didn't act fast, someone or something would pay the price. A low vibration pulsed through the ground beneath them, almost imperceptible at first, then unmistakable. Kieran's eyes widened. "It's back," he whispered. "The ghost." Ship had returned, closer this time, hovering over Kareth City itself. And on its hull, glowing faintly, was a single symbol and emblem of humanity. Kieran's breath caught. "It's human." Before Thrall could respond, a sharp beam of energy struck the crystal spire near them, sending shards flying. They scrambled as the attack tore a swath through the city. The ghost ship's hum rose to a deafening pitch, and a voice clear, calm, impossibly human echoed across the streets. "Evacuate immediately. Any resistance will be destroyed, but we are not your enemy, unless you make us so." Kieran's heart thundered. The city was frozen in awe and terror. Somewhere in that voice, he heard something familiar, something that tugged at a memory. Buried under years of exile. And then came the words that would change everything. "Prepare for the last stand. Humanity will not be stopped. Not by the Empire. Not by anyone." Kieran looked at Thrall. "We have to find the bridge," he said. Teeth gritted. "We have to know who is out there." Thrall swallowed hard, his limbs trembling. "Human. I think you're about to show me why your species is feared across the galaxy. But I hope to ancients you survive this." Above them, the ghost ship's light pulsed again, and the city trembled. Somewhere on that ship, a human was watching. Waiting, and the game had begun. Cliffhanger. Kieran feels a surge of recognition. This human pilot knows him. But how? And why is humanity's most mysterious ship in the middle of an alien world's capital city? Crossing the lines, Kieran's boots skidded across the fractured glass of the crystal spire, shards crunching beneath his weight. The violet sky above Kareth City shimmered with the ghost ship's strange glow, painting the streets in shifting patterns of light and shadow. Thrall clung to his side, muttering incomprehensible prayers under his breath. The human pilot, whoever they were, wasn't just powerful. They were precise, surgical. Every Empire warship that dared to engage faltered, their weapons misfiring, engines stuttering. Kieran had never witnessed such control over reality, and the thought sent a chill down his spine. "We need a way to communicate," Kieran said, scanning the spire for access points. "If we don't, they might think we're with the Empire. Then we're dead." Thrall's 6 eyes flicked to him. "Communicate with a ghost ship? Are you insane?" "Insane works sometimes," Kieran muttered. He crouched beside a fractured maintenance hatch, prying it open. Inside was a tangled mess of wires, data cores, and exposed conduits. Perfect. Kieran began connecting his portable interface, fingers dancing over the controls. Sparks flew as the ship hummed above, as if sensing his attempts. The hair on the back of his neck stood up, an instinct warning him that this was no ordinary machine. Then suddenly, a flash of memory struck him. Years ago, he had been part of a classified project on a human colony far from known space. They called it Project Horizon. They had built ships that could manipulate space-time, ships that could phase in and out of reality. The technology had been experimental, controversial, and dangerous. One ship had disappeared during testing. Kieran had been there. He had been there. "Impossible," Thrall whispered. "No human could—" Kieran cut him off. "It's them. It's the Horizon class. One of ours survived. And it's here. Threll's tentacles twitched nervously. Survived? After all this time? Before Kieran could answer, a warning alarm blared from the spire. Empire drones, small, agile, and armed, swooped down, scanning for targets. Move! Kieran shouted, yanking Threll through a maintenance tunnel. The drone's sensors pinged, red lights flashing across their hulls. Kieran tapped a makeshift control panel, jamming the signals long enough to duck into the underground service corridors. As they ran, Kieran's mind raced. If this was indeed a Horizon-class ship, it wasn't just a weapon. It was a symbol and echo of humanity's ingenuity and audacity. And it had chosen this moment to appear. They emerged into a cavernous hangar beneath the city, abandoned centuries ago. Pipes ran like veins along the ceiling, and old hover platforms squeaked under the weight of rust and time. Kieran spotted a derelict shuttle and motioned to it. "Help me push it," he said. Together, they maneuvered it toward a hidden docking bay. The plan was simple: get close to the ghost ship, prove they weren't hostile, and find answers. Simple, except the Empire wasn't going to make it easy. As the shuttle lifted into the sky, Kieran's interface picked up a subtle signal, something familiar, human, but encrypted in layers of protective coding. It was coming from the ghost ship. "It's trying to talk to us," Kieran murmured. Asterisk. Threll's eyes widened. Talk? Humans never talk. They command. Not all humans, Kieran muttered. He keyed a rudimentary reply, fingers trembling. "We mean no harm. We are allies of your species." There was a long pause. Then, a holographic projection flickered to life inside the shuttle. A human figure appeared, young, mid-30s at most, with eyes like tempered steel. It wore a suit that shimmered with faint blue energy and a calm, unyielding expression. "Kieran." "Voss," the figure said. Their voice was steady, resonant, yet somehow intimate. "It's been a long time. I didn't expect to find anyone from Horizon still alive." Kieran's breath caught. You survived?" "I did," the figure replied. "But we've waited for the right moment. Humanity isn't here to conquer. We're here to protect and to remind the galaxy what we can do when threatened." Before Kieran could respond, a sudden explosion rocked the shuttle. The Empire had found them. The city below shook violently as plasma cannons tore into the streets. The ghost ship above twisted and pulsed, its shimmering hull bending light. To deflect incoming fire, Kieran gritted his teeth. "Hang on. We're going in." The shuttle's engines roared as they lifted toward the ghost ship, dodging debris and energy blasts. Kieran felt a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. He wasn't just witnessing history. He was part of it. Inside the ship, the human pilot guided the shuttle through an invisible corridor of phased energy, folding space in ways Kieran could barely comprehend. Threll clung to his side, muttering incomprehensible alien prayers. And then suddenly they were inside the bridge. The sight stole Kieran's breath. The bridge was impossibly advanced. Holographic displays floated in midair. Energy conduits pulsed like living veins, and a panoramic viewport showed the city below, frozen in awe of the ghostly vessel. "Kieran," the pilot said, stepping closer. "I've waited a decade to find someone who could help me. The Empire isn't the only threat. There's something else, something that remembers the old wars, and it wants humanity gone." Kieran's stomach tightened. "The old wars? I thought we ended them." "You thought wrong," the pilot said, eyes hardening. "And if we don't act, billions will die. But with you, we have a chance." Threll's eyes flicked nervously between the two humans. "You said you were allies, but it feels like a trap." Kieran placed a hand on the alien's shoulder. "Trust me. This is bigger than politics, bigger than fear. It's survival. And if we fail? He let the words hang, heavy and unspoken. Sudden jolt threw them off balance. The bridge shuddered violently. Through the viewport, Kieran saw an approaching fleet larger than anything he had imagined. Not Empire, but something older, darker, with warships that seemed almost organic. Their hulls rippling with strange energy. The pilot's voice was grim. They've found us. And they've brought everything they've got. Kieran swallowed, hard, gripping the console. Then let's show them why humanity should never be underestimated. The ghost ship pulsed, the hum rising to a deafening crescendo, and the viewport lit with the energy of an unseen weapon powering up. Cliffhanger. As the enemy fleet closes in, Kieran realizes the threat isn't just the Empire. It's something that has hunted humanity before, something that even the Horizon-class ship might struggle to repel. And the pilot turns to him with a single question. Are you ready to fight for more than survival? Asterisk. The first stand, the ghost ship's hum, became a steady, resonant heartbeat. Kieran felt it in his chest, in every nerve ending. The enemy fleet, massive and alien, crested the horizon like a living storm, their dark, twisting hulls pulsing with an energy that seemed to defy physics itself. Each vessel was unlike any design he had ever seen, organic, flowing, almost predatory. In its geometry, the human pilot, who introduced herself as Lieutenant Mara Selwyn, stepped forward. Her eyes scanned the bridge, sharp and calculating. They know we're here, and they won't wait. Kieran swallowed hard. Then what's the plan? Mara's gaze hardened. We fight smart, not hard. Humanity survives by outthinking the enemy. The ghost ship shuddered as a wave of energy swept past it. Outside, the enemy fleet opened fire. Beams of dark plasma ripped through the violet sky, striking at nothing but air. The ghost ship had phased partially out of reality again, bending space around itself like liquid metal. Kieran couldn't help but marvel. It's like the ship's alive. Mara nodded. It senses intent, trust, and skill. We have to work with it, not against it. Threll, still gripping the railing, muttered nervously. With it, humans? You are insane. And yet? He trailed off as another beam hit near the city, obliterating a marketplace in a burst of violet fire. Civilians screamed, running blindly into debris. Kieran's heart clenched. We need to protect them. Mara's lips pressed into a thin line. We will. But first, the fleet. The ghost ship surged forward. It moved like water across space, weaving through enemy fire with impossible precision. Kieran gripped the console, feeling the pull of gravity-like forces as the ship twisted and folded space around itself. Mara's hands flew over holographic controls, tapping coordinates and issuing commands without words. Targeting their command vessel, Mara said calmly. Kieran, I need you to prepare the auxiliary disruptor. It's old tech, human ingenuity. Only you can make it work. Kieran's eyes widened. It's experimental. Half the station thought it was too dangerous to ever deploy. Mara smiled faintly. Perfect. That's why I chose you. Working in tandem, Kieran connected the disruptor to the ship's energy conduits. Sparks flew, systems whined under. The strain. Threll muttered prayers again, though Kieran suspected the alien had no real words left to express the terror. Outside, the enemy fleet adjusted, forming a deadly crescent. Their energy pulses twisted unnaturally, seeking to collapse. The phased field of the ghost ship. Kieran's hands moved faster, sweat running down his face. The disruptor hung to life, sending a ripple through space, bending reality in a localized field that targeted the command vessel's engines. A flash erupted across the battlefield. One of the massive enemy ships convulsed and then disintegrated in a spiral of energy, leaving the rest of the fleet momentarily stunned. Threll let out a low whistle. I didn't think humans could do that. Kieran allowed himself a brief grin. Neither did I. But the celebration was short-lived. The enemy fleet adapted. They twisted their formations, moving unpredictably, attacking from angles that shouldn't exist in normal space. Beams bent around them, striking at the ghost ship in patterns that defied logic. Mara's voice was calm but tense. Kieran, they're not just attacking. They're probing us, testing us, learning. Kieran's stomach sank. Then we're outmatched. Mara shook her head. Not if we think faster than they do. She tapped coordinates on the console. We're going to lead them into the rift corridor. Kieran frowned. That's uncharted space. It's unstable. The ship might not survive. And if we don't, humanity won't survive at all. Mara's eyes locked with his. Trust me. The ghost ship surged forward, weaving through the violet haze above Kerith City. Below them, the Empire's remnants cowered, unwilling to engage, but unwilling to flee. The enemy fleet followed, a relentless tide, drawn by the promise of destruction. As they approached the rift corridor, the energy around them began to warp, twisting light and matter. Kieran's stomach dropped as the ship shuddered violently, warning alarms blaring. Systems overloaded, consoles sparking. Threll screamed in terror as gravity fluctuated, pushing and pulling them across the bridge. Hold on, Mara shouted. Brace for the jump. Kieran strapped himself in, heart hammering. He glanced at the viewport. The enemy fleet was still behind them, relentless. One misstep, one miscalculation, and the rift corridor would swallow them whole. With a sudden lurch, the ghost ship phased, reality folding around it. Stars streaked into lines of light. Kieran felt as though he were being pulled apart, stretched across dimensions. And then suddenly they emerged. The rift corridor opened before them, a twisting maelstrom of space-time. The enemy fleet hesitated, unable to follow immediately. Mara exhaled sharply. We made it for now. Kieran's relief was short-lived. Through the viewport, he saw something else larger than the fleet, darker than the void, and ancient. A shape that defied reason. Its size alone would have made it a world destroyer. Its intent radiated malevolence. The old wars, Mara muttered. It's here. Kieran's blood ran cold. We're not ready for this. Mara's gaze hardened. Ready or not, we have to fight. Humanity doesn't run. Not now. Not ever. The ghost ship pulsed, the hum rising, almost like it understood the weight of the moment. Outside, the ancient predator of the void began to move, vast shadows stretching. Across the rift corridor, its presence bending the stars themselves, Kieran gritted his teeth. Then we fight. For the city, for humanity, for survival. Cliffhanger. The ancient enemy moves in. The rift corridor becomes a battlefield where physics itself is a weapon. Kieran realizes that even with the Horizon-class ship, victory is not guaranteed, and that the human ingenuity he relies on may not be enough to save them all. Asterisk. Into the maw, the rift corridor shimmered like a living thing, twisting stars and bending light. The ancient enemy, a shadow of impossible scale, moved with predatory intent. Its hull, if it could be called that, was organic, rippling, constantly, shifting as though it were a creature and a machine fused. Every pulse it emitted distorted reality around it. Kieran's hands were tight on the console, knuckles white. He had never faced anything like this. Mara remained calm, almost eerily so, her eyes scanning every fluctuating signal on the bridge. Threll was muttering incomprehensible prayers again, tentacles clutched to his chest. We need to find a weak point, Mara said, voice steady. This thing isn't just a ship. It's older than the Empire, older than most of known space. But all living systems have vulnerabilities. Kieran nodded, swallowing his fear. I'll start scanning, but it's like nothing I've ever seen. Its structure, It's alive. That's why our tech works, Mara said. The ghost ship responds to intent, to ingenuity. It feels trust. If we can focus its energy through a human-designed disruptor, we might, just might, stop it. Threll's 6 eyes darted between them. Focus energy? You mean you're going to attack it with brains? Kieran shot a look at the alien. Brains and experience. And luck, lots of luck. They began their maneuver, weaving through the distorted space of the rift corridor. Kieran worked feverishly, rerouting energy through the auxiliary disruptor, while Mara guided the ship with precision that defied the alien physics surrounding them. Outside, the ancient enemy followed, its massive tendrils of energy striking and warping the corridor itself. A pulse from the creature slammed into the ghost ship, sending a shockwave across the bridge. Kieran and Threll were thrown against the walls. Sparks flew, consoles cracked, and the hum of the ship wavered. Status. Mara shouted. Kieran scrambled. Auxiliary circuits holding. But it won't last long. Threll's skin paled. You humans really do throw yourselves into impossible situations. Kieran gritted his teeth. We survive impossible situations. He focused on the disruptor, connecting his mind to the ship's adaptive interface. Time seemed to stretch. Every pulse of the enemy felt like an earthquake in his bones. He realized the creature wasn't just attacking. It was learning, adapting, predicting. But Kieran remembered something critical from his days in Project Horizon. Creativity cannot be predicted. He adjusted the disruptor's output, using unconventional patterns, human improvisation. The ghost ship responded instantly, its energy flowing in ways that no one had programmed. Mara's eyes widened. You're thinking like it thinks. Kieran, keep going. The ancient enemy roared, or something akin to a roar vibrated across the rift. Its mass shuddered, pulsing violently. Beams of dark energy struck the ghost ship, but Kieran's improvisation redirected them back. The enemy flinched for the first time. Threll's eyes widened. It's scared? It's calculating, Kieran corrected, but it didn't expect creativity. Mara nodded. Now's our chance. Aim the disruptor at its core, but phase carefully. If we hit too hard, it could collapse the rift corridor and take everything with it. Kieran's fingers danced across the interface. The auxiliary disruptor hummed, resonating with the ghost ship's systems. Outside, the ancient enemy recoiled, tendrils writhing. The corridor itself warped, glowing veins of energy snaking across its walls. And then, suddenly, a new threat emerged. A swarm of Empire drones, taking advantage of the chaos. They fired indiscriminately, some grazing the ghost ship, others hitting the rift walls, causing unpredictable energy surges. Not now. Kieran shouted, rerouting energy shields to deflect the attacks. Mara executed a sharp maneuver, weaving through the swarm with surgical precision. Hold it steady. She barked. Kieran's hands shook, but he didn't falter. He channeled every ounce of ingenuity he possessed, every trick he had learned in years of survival and engineering, into the disruptor. The ghost ship pulsed, and a beam of pure energy, bright and alive, shot into the heart of the ancient enemy. The creature screamed, a soundless scream that reverberated through reality itself. Its tendrils flailed wildly, ripping apart sections of the rift corridor, and then, with a massive pulse, it collapsed inward, leaving behind a void of silence. The corridor stabilized, the stars settling back into their rightful places. The enemy, fleet, leaderless, and disoriented, scattered in panic. The Empire drones, seeing the destruction, began to retreat as well. Kieran slumped against the console, drenched in sweat. We did it. Mara's expression softened, but her eyes remained vigilant. For now, but this is only the beginning. The galaxy has other predators. And some of them won't wait for us to be ready. Threll exhaled shakily. I don't think I'll ever underestimate humans again. Kieran allowed himself a faint smile. Good, that's lesson number 1. But as they watched the rift corridor calm, Kieran felt a chill. He had glimpsed something ancient, something that had been watching humanity for eons. And he realized with a sinking certainty, surviving the old wars was one thing. Surviving what came next would require more than ingenuity. Cliffhanger. Amid the calm, Kieran detects a faint signal deep within the enemy's collapse. A distress call, but not from humans. Something else is alive, something intelligent, and it's calling directly to them. Asterisk. A signal in the silence. The rift corridor had fallen silent. Kieran's heartbeat echoed in his ears as he studied the readouts. Energy spikes, ruptures in space-time, the faint hum of the ghost ship, all of it pulsed like a living organism recovering from a wound. But beneath the calm, a signal flickered. Weak, fragmented, almost imperceptible, yet undeniably intelligent. "Lieutenant," Kieran said, pointing at the display. "There's something here, something alive, and it's calling for help." Mara leaned in, her eyes narrowing. "Show me." She tapped a few controls, amplifying the signal. Alien glyphs flashed briefly, rearranging into a pattern Kieran recognized as linguistic, a language older than the Empire itself, by the ancients. Threll muttered, his 6 eyes wide. "It speaks, but it's not ours, not human, not Empire." Kieran's mind raced. The pulse wasn't hostile. Its cadence was cautious, pleading. The creature had survived the collapse of the rift battle, and it wasn't ready to die. "Should we respond?" Threll asked, trembling. "It could be a trap." Kieran shook his head. "We can't ignore it. If we do, whatever's left of the old wars could rise again. We need allies, even if they're alien." Mara's gaze hardened. "Fine, but cautiously. Open a secure channel, Kieran. Let's see what we're dealing with." A ghost ship pulsed as if sensing their intent, its hum rising to a steady, reassuring rhythm. Kieran keyed the response. A holographic projection formed before them, hazy and wavering. The figure that emerged was unlike anything Kieran had seen. Its body was translucent, its form constantly shifting, almost like liquid glass. It hovered, tendrils of energy spiraling around it. Its face, or what could be called a face, held no hostility, only desperation. "I am Vaylor," it said, voice like a ripple of water. "I survived the collapse. The Predator. The entity you destroyed. It was not alone. Others will come. You must help us." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Vaylor, you survived the same force that nearly annihilated the old colonies?" "Yes," Vaylor replied. "But I am weak, alone. Humanity, your species, is the only force capable of resisting them. They fear you. They fear ingenuity." Kieran felt a chill run down his spine. "You? You're saying this Predator wasn't the only one?" Vaylor's tendrils twitched in agreement. "The galaxy hides many secrets. Predators of old wars, remnants of conflicts you thought were long gone. They watch. They wait. But the humans your people hold the spark they cannot predict." Asterisk Threll shook his head. I thought the humans were fragile. But you're something else." Kieran clenched his fists. "Fragile? Maybe, but adaptable. And if there's a chance to protect billions of lives, I'm going to take it." Mara studied the projection closely. "We need information. We can't fight blind. Vaylor, tell us what you know about these entities. Their tactics, their weaknesses, anything." Vaylor's energy rippled as it spoke. "They consume light, bend reality to their will. They strike where civilizations are vulnerable. But there is a pattern. They rely on fear, division, hesitation. Where unity exists, they falter. Humanity's ingenuity. Compassion. It is dangerous to them. Kiran's stomach tightened. So it's not just about strength. It's about trust, collaboration. Between species. Yes, Vaylor said, you have potential, but you are alone in this region. Others of your kind are scattered, lost, forgotten. You must gather them. Build the line of defense before the next wave comes. Threll's tentacles twitched nervously. You're asking humans to unite with us? With aliens? Against a force even we fear? Kiran took a deep breath. Fear doesn't stop us. Innovation does. Ingenuity does. And trust. Trust can tip the scales. Vaylor's right. We can't survive alone, but together. He let the words hang, powerful and resolute. Asterisk. Vaylor pulsed brightly. Then you understand. You will need more than courage. You will need strategy, sacrifice, and hope. Suddenly, the rift corridor trembled violently. Another energy pulse rippled through space-time. The ancient predators had sent scouts testing the ghost ship again. This time, they weren't just probing, they were hunting. Mara's voice was sharp. Kiran, shields up. They know we're here. Kiran dove to the auxiliary controls, rerouting energy. Sparks flew across the bridge as the ship strained against the rift's distortion. Outside, the Predator's scouts twisted and phased, moving unpredictably, forcing the ghost ship into evasive maneuvers. Threll cried out as a massive energy tendril struck the hull, sending the ship into a violent spin. We're going to die. Kiran ignored him, focusing on Vaylor's signal. No, not yet. We have a mission. We're not going to die until this message reaches the galaxy. Mara gritted her teeth. Kiran, the scouts are breaking through. We have seconds. Kiran's fingers flew over the console. He combined human intuition with the ghost ship's adaptive systems. The disruptor pulsed, a concentrated wave of ingenuity, striking the scouts in perfect harmony. Each one convulsed, twisted, and then disintegrated. The rift corridor fell eerily. Silent again. But Kiran knew the calm wouldn't last. Vaylor's projection flickered. This was only a test. The true hunt is coming. Prepare your allies, and prepare yourselves. Kiran turned to Mara. We need to leave this sector, gather what remains of humanity, and warn every world we can. If Vaylor's right, the galaxy isn't ready for what's coming, but we will make it ready. Mara nodded grimly. Then let's get moving. Humanity doesn't wait for permission, and neither do we. Threll exhaled shakily. You humans, you really are something else. I think I might finally understand why the Empire fears you. Kiran's eyes hardened. Then let's make sure they never forget it. The line of humanity, the ghost ship, emerged from the rift corridor into open space, stars stretching into. Streaks of light around them. Kiran leaned against the console, rubbing his temples. The vast emptiness before them should have been reassuring, but the faint, pulsing shapes on the horizon told another story. The predators were coming, and not alone. Mara's hands flew across the controls, stabilizing the ship. Kiran, we can't fight them head on. Not yet, but we can force them into a trap. Kiran's mind raced. A trap? With what? Where alone humanity is scattered. Any fleet we muster will be fragmented, untested. Then we improvise. Mara said sharply, You've never been one for following the rules, have you? Kiran allowed a faint smirk. Never. Through the ghost ship's advanced sensors, Kiran detected faint human transmissions scattered across remote colonies and abandoned stations. Many were weak signals, some decades old, but enough to piece together the remnants of humanity. Each one would have to be contacted, warned, and persuaded to join a single line of defense against an ancient predator fleet. Vaylor's right, Kiran muttered. Ingenuity, Collaboration, it's all we've got. Then start calling, Mara said. I'll keep us ready for intercept. Kieran activated the communication arrays, combining human encryption with the ghost ship's adaptive signal. One by one, flickering projections of human survivors appeared. Ex-colonists, engineers, medics, and ex-soldiers, their faces pale from years of isolation. This is Kieran Voss, he said, voice steady. We have a threat. An ancient enemy is hunting the galaxy. It's powerful, adaptive, but it fears human ingenuity. You are not alone. Humanity can fight, and together we will. Each survivor's expression shifted from disbelief to hope. They had been lost, scattered, believing themselves forgotten. Kieran's words ignited something long dormant, the spark of survival, the will to fight. Meanwhile, Mara worked the ghost ship, weaving in and out of sensor scans from the approaching predators. They were testing them, probing for weaknesses. But with every evasive maneuver, Kieran noticed patterns in the attackers' movements. Predictable, if unconventional. We can use that, he said aloud. We just need to anticipate their instincts, not just react. Threll, still visibly shaken, peered over his shoulder. Your species, you're impossible. You're betting against creatures older than civilization itself? And yet you're calm? Kieran allowed a faint grin. Not calm, calculating. There's a difference. The first wave of allied humans answered the call. Ships of every shape and size, patched together with ingenuity and grit, assembled in loose formations. They weren't a fleet in the Empire's sense. They were disparate, unconventional, but each one carried the will to survive. Look at them, Mara murmured, eyes scanning the ragged line. Each one believes in the same thing we do. That counts for more than firepower. Kieran's heart swelled. Humanity's compassion, adaptability, and resourcefulness were manifesting in real time. These people had survived isolation, neglect, and fear. And now they would fight not for glory, not for empire, but for life itself. Suddenly, the Predator fleet surged forward, massive tendrils of energy lancing through space. Their shadows stretched over the assembled human line, attempting to collapse formations before a single shot was fired. Kieran keyed the auxiliary disruptor. Everyone, follow my lead. We adapt. We improvise. The ghost ship pulsed, and Kieran directed its energy to amplify unconventional strategies. Ships weaving in unpredictable patterns, shields phased in and out of reality, energy pulses reflecting. Off debris and asteroids. Every move was a gamble, but it worked. The Predator's initial attack staggered as their calculations failed to predict human unpredictability. Threll's eyes widened. It's working. Somehow, it's working. Kieran gritted his teeth. Don't celebrate yet. This is only round one. Then, through the ghost ship's sensors, he detected a massive Predator capital ship, the size of a small moon, emerging from the rift corridor. Its energy pulse dwarfed anything they had seen, and its presence radiated an intelligence that was cold, calculating, and ancient. Mara's hands tightened on the controls. That's the heart of their fleet. If it hits the line, everything we've built dies. Kieran nodded, a plan forming in his mind. We'll need a decoy, something fast, something unpredictable, and we'll lead it right into the trap we've set with the survivors. They'll think they're pursuing the ghost ship, but they'll be in our crossfire. Threll's tentacles twitched nervously. You really do have a death wish, don't you? Maybe, Kieran said, eyes gleaming. Or maybe I just believe in humans. And tonight, they'll see why we survive when no one else does. Outside, the Predator fleet advanced, unaware that every move they made was being anticipated by ingenuity, improvisation, and the unity of scattered humanity. Kieran felt a surge of determination. This was the moment where compassion, creativity, and courage would define the outcome. And as the ghost ship pulsed with readiness, Kieran whispered, almost to himself, "Let's show them what humanity can do." Cliffhanger. The Predator capital ship closes in, far larger and faster than expected. Kieran realizes that even with the decoy and the United Human Line, one misstep could doom them all, and the ghost ship suddenly reacts on its own, initiating a maneuver that even Mara has never seen before. Asterisk. Humanity's light. The ghost ship surged forward, its hull shimmering like liquid silver, and Kieran gripped the console as if his life depended on it, because it did. The Predator capital ship loomed ahead, massive and unnatural, pulsing with dark energy that bent the very stars. Every instinct screamed danger, but Kieran pushed fear aside. "This is it," Mara said, voice calm but tense. "Follow my lead. Trust the ship. Trust yourself. Trust humanity." Kieran nodded, heart hammering. He keyed the auxiliary disruptor, aligning its output with the ghost ship's phased shields and energy conduits. Outside, the allied human fleet scattered strategically, each ship weaving unpredictably. Some acted as decoys, others as concentrated strike points, all guided by Kieran's and Mara's rapid improvisation. The Predator capital ship accelerated, its immense tendrils stretching across space, striking at ships with precision. For a moment, it seemed unstoppable, its energy pulses tearing apart human vessels, like paper dot. Then Kieran did something no one expected. He initiated a sequence that combined the ghost ship's phasing capabilities with the auxiliary disruptors. Adaptive energy. The ship surged forward, folding space in impossible arcs, weaving through the Predator's strikes. It became less of a target and more of a force of chaos, a living manifestation of human ingenuity. The Predator miscalculated. Its strikes collided with one another, destabilizing its energy flow. Kieran felt the surge of opportunity and keyed the disruptor to release a concentrated pulse directly into the heart of the capital ship. Energy ARCS danced, twisting reality around the Predator, which convulsed violently. Mara's voice rang out, calm yet fierce. "Now, Kieran, lead the line." The human fleet surged forward, guided by the ghost ship's signals. Ships fired in perfect synchronization, exploiting the Predator's momentary vulnerability. Each vessel, no matter how small or battered, contributed to a coordinated strike that no single mind could have achieved alone. The Predator roared, or something like a roar echoed through the rift corridor, and then, in a blinding explosion of energy and light, it collapsed inward, shredded by ingenuity and unity. Its tendrils writhed in the void before disintegrating entirely. The remaining Predator ships, leaderless and disoriented, fled into the rift corridor, their retreat sending tremors through space-time. The Allied human fleet cheered, though many ships were damaged and some lives were lost. Threll, gripping the railing of the ghost ship, let out a relieved shriek. "By the ancients, you humans, you did it." Kieran allowed himself a breath. "We did it, together." Mara stepped forward, placing a hand on Kieran's shoulder. "This isn't the end, but it proves something. Humanity survives not because we are the strongest, but because we adapt, we care, and we think." Vaylor's projection flickered onto the bridge. Its energy rippled softly, almost like a sigh. "You have shown what we could not have hoped. Humanity is a light in the darkness. And now the galaxy will remember." Kieran looked out at the stars. The predatory shadows were gone, for now replaced by the quiet calm of the rift corridor. He thought of every survivor they had rallied, every life they had saved, and every choice that had been made in desperation and hope. "Do you think they'll come back?" Threll asked quietly. "Maybe," Kieran said, eyes narrowing. "But next time, humanity will be ready, and we'll be waiting with compassion, ingenuity, and everything we've learned." Mara allowed a small smile. And maybe, next time, the galaxy will see that humans are worth more than fear. The ghost ship pulsed gently, as if acknowledging the truth of her words. Its hum was no longer just a sound, it was a heartbeat, resonating with the spirit of survival, unity, and human ingenuity. As they set a course to reunite with the scattered remnants of humanity, Kieran felt a quiet resolve settle within him. The old wars were not over. The predators of the void would return. But humanity, resilient, creative, and compassionate, would be ready. And somewhere deep in the stars, a faint signal flickered. Another survivor, another ally waiting to be discovered. Kieran smiled. Then we'll keep moving. We'll keep fighting, and we'll keep proving why humanity always survives. Outside the ghost ship, the stars stretched endlessly, but now they seemed a little brighter, a little warmer, because somewhere, far beyond the rift, the galaxy had just witnessed what humans could do, and that was only the beginning, the end asterisk.